Before the sun has fully cleared the horizon, the Serengeti lies still. A pale gold light spreads across an ocean of grass that seems to have no end, no edge, no boundary at all. For a moment, the land holds its breath. Then, almost without warning, it begins to move. Dust rises in the distance. A low rumble builds beneath the silence. Within minutes, the empty plain is no longer empty. It is alive with hundreds of thousands of hooves, all moving toward the same invisible promise: water, grass, and survival. This is the Great Migration, the largest overland movement of mammals left on Earth. Wildebeest by the hundreds of thousands, joined by zebra and gazelle, surge across the Tanzanian and Kenyan border in a circuit nearly 1,000 kilometers long. They are not wandering. Every step follows a rhythm written by rainfall, scent, and instinct passed down through countless generations. But this is not simply a story of movement. It is a story of hunger and patience, of predator and prey locked in an ancient negotiation, where the terms are rewritten every single day. This is the Serengeti, and this is a territory where survival is never guaranteed. Away from the open plains, where acacia trees break the horizon and shrubs thicken into low canopies, lies a quieter but equally vital world: the wooded heart of the ecosystem. Here, giraffes move with unhurried elegance, their long necks reaching into branches no other browser can touch. Elephants pass through in small family groups, stripping bark and snapping branches as they go, reshaping the woodland with every visit. This is also buffalo country. Herds numbering in the dozens graze shoulder to shoulder, each animal capable of consuming over 15 kilograms of grass in a single day. Their constant grazing does more than fill their stomachs. It shapes the very structure of the land, keeping grasses cropped low enough for smaller herbivores to find tender new growth beneath the old. In this way, the buffalo are unintentional gardeners, sculpting a landscape that countless other species depend on. But the woodland is changing. Rainfall that once arrived with dependable rhythm now comes erratically, sometimes in violent bursts, sometimes not at all. Dry seasons stretch longer than they once did, and animals are forced to travel further for water that used to be close at hand. Giraffes raise their heads higher, scanning wider horizons. Buffalo herds shrink toward the last green patches, and tension over those patches grows sharper with each passing week. When the heat of the day fades and shadows stretch long across the grass, a different kind of intelligence takes over the Serengeti. The spotted hyena, often misunderstood as a mere scavenger, is in truth one of the most capable hunters on the continent. Their lineage stretches back more than 20 million years, a span of time that has tested and refined their bodies into something extraordinarily efficient. Hyenas live in clans that can number up to 80 individuals, structured around a strict and fascinating hierarchy led by females. This social order is not just about dominance. It is a survival mechanism, allowing the clan to coordinate hunts, defend territory, and protect young with remarkable precision. When hunting in groups, hyenas can run down prey many times their individual size, using endurance rather than raw speed as their greatest weapon. Their jaws, among the strongest of any mammal on the savanna, allow them to crush bone and consume nearly every part of carcass, leaving almost nothing behind for decay or disease to take hold. Far from being mere opportunists, hyenas perform an essential cleansing role across the ecosystem. Where a kill is made, the hyena ensures that nothing is wasted, recycling nutrients back into a system that depends on constant renewal. No predator commands the Serengeti's imagination quite like the lion, evolved over roughly 2 million years into the dominant carnivore of the grasslands. The East African lion combines raw power with cooperative strategy unmatched among the big cats. Prides work as coordinated units, using teamwork to bring down prey that would be impossible for a lone hunter to overcome. Yet today, the lion's crown sits uneasily. Habitat loss, shrinking prey populations, and growing conflict with human settlements have pushed lion numbers into a vulnerable position. Each pride loss is not simply the disappearance of predator. It is a disruption to an entire web of relationships that depends on their presence to keep herbivore populations balanced and the grassland healthy. In drier regions of the ecosystem, lions have shown remarkable adaptability. Their coats grow thinner, helping dissipate heat more efficiently. Their hunting shifts almost entirely to the cooler hours of night, when stealth becomes easier and the brutal sun is no longer a threat to their stamina. In the harshest months, when water sources vanish entirely, lions can survive for extended periods on the moisture found within the bodies of their prey, a quiet, brutal adaptation that allows the species to persist in landscapes that would otherwise be unlivable. Out on the wide, sun-baked grasslands, where almost nothing breaks a line of sight, the Thompson's gazelle thrives through speed and vigilance rather than strength. Standing little more than 2 feet at the shoulder, these slender antelope move in herds that can range from a handful of individuals to several hundred, their pale coats marked by a single bold black stripe along each flank. Living in herds offers more than companionship. It is a defense system in itself. With dozens of pairs of eyes and ears scanning the horizon at once, a threat rarely goes unnoticed for long. The moment one gazelle bolts, the entire herd reacts as a single organism, scattering in unpredictable directions that make it far harder for a predator to lock onto a single target. Sharing the same open terrain is the larger Grant's gazelle, distinguished by its striking white underbelly and the long, curved horns carried by males. Grant's gazelles can reach speeds nearing 80 kilometers per hour, a burst of velocity that has saved countless lives from pursuing cheetahs and lions. Their digestive systems are remarkably flexible, allowing them to switch between grasses and tougher shrub vegetation, depending on what the dry season leaves available. A quiet but crucial advantage in a land where food can disappear within weeks. High above the grasslands, the tawny eagle rules a different kind of territory, the open sky. With eyesight capable of detecting the faintest movement from hundreds of feet up, this raptor folds into a steep dive the instant it spots an opportunity, striking small mammals and young antelope with deadly accuracy. When prey is scarce, the tawny eagle becomes an opportunist, feeding on carrion left behind by ground predators and helping to keep the landscape clear of disease. Sharing the thermals are the vultures, nature's most efficient recyclers. The white-headed vulture is often among the very first to detect a carcass, descending rapidly before larger competitors arrive. Even more remarkable is the Ruppel's vulture, capable of flying at altitudes that would leave most birds gasping for oxygen, thanks to a unique respiratory adaptation. Sadly, this remarkable bird now carries the weight of an uncertain future, classified as endangered due to poisoning and habitat disruption, a sobering reminder that even the sky is not immune to the pressures reshaping this ecosystem. Scattered across the grassland like the bones of an ancient giant, the granite outcrops known as kopjes rise abruptly from the flat earth, formed over millions of years by forces long since forgotten. These stone islands provide something the open plain cannot: shelter, shade, and a vantage point above the world. Rock hyraxes, small and unassuming, have made these outcrops their fortress. Despite their modest size, hyraxes share surprising evolutionary connection with elephants, evident in their small tusk-like incisors. Their padded feet grip the smooth granite with astonishing precision, allowing them to scale near vertical surfaces, while evading eagles and leopards above and below. It is a leopard, however, that has truly mastered the kopjes. Solitary and supremely patient, leopards use the crevices and shaded ledges to disappear entirely from view, observing the plains below while remaining invisible to both predator and prey. When the moment comes, their attack is explosive, a sudden, powerful strike followed by the extraordinary feat of hauling prey, sometimes heavier than themselves, up into branches of a nearby tree, safely out of reach of scavenging hyenas and rival lions. Even lion prides adapt to this stony terrain, forming smaller groups suited to the limited space. Here, lionesses use hidden rock crevices as nurseries, tucking newborn cubs safely away from the harsh midday sun and the watchful eyes of competing predators. Where rivers flow and spread across low ground, the Serengeti swamps form a final refuge during the driest months of the year. While the surrounding plains crack and pale under relentless heat, these wetlands remain green, holding moisture that countless species depend on to survive. Maasai giraffes wander here in search of acacia and tall shrubs, their towering height allowing them to spot danger long before it arrives. Their powerful hind legs, capable of delivering a devastating kick, serve as one of the most effective deterrents against any predator bold enough to attempt an ambush. Among the reeds and shallow waters, sacred ibis forage for fish, insects, and small invertebrates, gathering in large breeding colonies that offer collective protection against predators. Herons, gray, black-headed, and the elegant great egret stand motionlessly at the water's edge, their patience rewarded with sudden, precise strikes the instant prey comes within range. Beneath the surface, hippos rule the water by day and venture onto land by night, grazing on tender grasses under covered darkness to avoid competition and conserve energy in the heat. Their bite force is among the most powerful of any land mammal, a clear warning to anything foolish enough to challenge their territory. As the dry season tightens its grip, the Serengeti River becomes one of the most vital and dangerous water sources in the entire ecosystem. Wildebeest, zebra, and antelope gather along its banks, drawn by the promise of relief from the heat. But beneath the murky water, Nile crocodiles wait in near-perfect stillness, capable of growing to remarkable lengths and possessing the patience to remain motionless for hours until precise moment to strike. To the west, where rivers converge with waterlogged grassland and dense riverside woodland, the western corridor offers some of the richest grazing in the entire region. It is here, as the rains begin to fade in May, that the great herds start their slow turn northward, setting in motion the next chapter of their relentless journey. Nothing in the natural world quite matches the tension of a Mara River crossing. Between July and October, hundreds of thousands of wildebeest and zebra gather along its banks, hesitating at the water's edge as instinct wars with fear. Beneath the surface, crocodiles lie in ambush, patient predators who understand that this moment, when the herd's resolve finally breaks, offers an opportunity unmatched anywhere else in their territory. The first animals to enter the water do so almost involuntarily, pushed forward by the sheer pressure of those behind them. Once the crossing begins, there is no turning back. Calves struggle against the current beside their mothers, while crocodiles surge forward with explosive speed, turning the river into one of nature's most dramatic theaters of survival. Those who make it across emerge onto the northern banks exhausted but alive, ready to continue toward the fresh pastures of the Masai Mara. While lions rule through strength and numbers, the cheetah survives through an entirely different philosophy: avoidance, precision, and speed. Built for acceleration rather than confrontation, the cheetah cannot afford to fight for territory the way a lion pride can. Instead, cheetahs deliberately steer clear of regions where lions and hyenas are most concentrated, trading prime hunting ground for a lower risk of losing a hard-earned meal or their own lives to a larger competitor. This strategy becomes especially critical for cheetah mothers raising young cubs. In the earliest weeks of a cub's life, a mother will frequently relocate her hiding spot, tucking her litter into dense grass and changing locations every few days to stay one step ahead of predators that would not hesitate to kill her offspring given a chance. She hunts alone during these months, balancing the urgent need to feed herself against the constant risk of leaving her cubs unprotected. Even briefly, timing defines a cheetah's entire approach to survival. Rather than hunting at night, when larger predators dominate the landscape, cheetahs are most active during the cooler hours of early morning and late afternoon. This narrow window allows them to hunt with reduced competition and lower risk of heat exhaustion during a chase that can push their bodies to the absolute limit of physical endurance. Their targets are chosen with calculated precision, young, isolated, or weakened prey that can be brought down quickly, minimizing the chance of injury in an animal that has almost nothing held in reserve for self-defense. The relationship between the Serengeti's great predators is rarely peaceful. Lions and spotted hyenas, in particular, share both territory and prey, placing them in near constant competition. When paths cross over fresh kill, size and strength typically decide the outcome, with lions usually forcing hyena clans to retreat, though not without resistance. Hyena clans, especially larger ones, have been known to reverse these confrontations, driving off solitary lions or even smaller prides when their numbers provide the advantage. This rivalry is not simply about a single meal. It echoes across the entire food chain, shaping how each predator hunts, where it chooses to rest, and how it raises its young. Leopards, caught between the larger threats of both lions and hyenas, rely on trees and rocky outcrops to keep their kills out of reach entirely, sidestepping confrontation rather than risking it. In this way, every predator in the Serengeti survives not only by mastering its prey, but by carefully navigating its relationships with rivals who could just as easily become its undoing. The Serengeti is not untouched wilderness alone. It is also home to the Maasai people, whose cattle, sheep, and goats have grazed alongside wild herds for generations. Traditional knowledge guides seasonal movement of livestock, allowing grasslands time to recover between grazing periods. Yet as populations grow and available land shrinks, the balance between human life and wild herds grows more delicate with each passing year. In response, many communities have turned toward ecotourism, finding a way to protect the land that sustains both their heritage and their future. Across the past 3 decades, average temperatures across the Serengeti have climbed significantly, disrupting the predictable rhythm of wet and dry seasons that wildlife has relied upon for millennia. Droughts last longer. Rains arrive without warning or fail to arrive at all. Populations of wildebeest and other grazers have already begun to decline as a result, while grasslands themselves are eroding at an alarming pace, threatening to reshape or unravel the very ecosystem that depends on them. Human expansion compounds the challenge. As farmland spreads closer to migration corridors, traditional pathways become blocked, forcing animals into closer and more frequent contact with people. Elephants and buffalo, drawn by crops during dry months, increasingly find themselves in conflict with the very communities working hardest to coexist with them. Yet amid these challenges, there is real reason for hope. Conservation organizations and regional governments have worked to establish protected corridors and buffer zones, allowing herds to move with fewer obstructions and less conflict. Restoration projects have begun returning native vegetation to degraded land, slowly coaxing life back into areas that have been pushed to their limits. Perhaps no story illustrates this resilience better than the recovery of the African elephant population within the Serengeti. After decades of devastating losses to poaching, stricter enforcement, modern surveillance technology, and deep community involvement have combined to reverse the decline. Elephant numbers have climbed steadily in recent years, a powerful testament to what is possible when conservation efforts and local communities work side by side rather than in opposition. The Serengeti remains, even now, one of the last great theaters of wildlife on Earth, a place where the line between predator and prey is drawn fresh every single day, and where survival depends as much on adaptation as on strength. It is not merely a landscape to be observed from a distance. It is a living system, fragile in places, resilient in others, and entirely dependent on the choices made far beyond its borders. To protect the Serengeti is to protect something far larger than one ecosystem. It is to preserve one of the final places where the ancient rhythm of migration, predation, and renewal still plays out exactly as it has for thousands of years. The herds will keep moving. The predators will keep watching. And as long as the land is given the chance to breathe, the wild heart of the Serengeti will keep beating.